Having learnt of the importance of customer enumeration, Mr. Tunde chooses to go for large-scale projects. But he realizes that the traditional methods of data collection requires a lot of manpower and much time, which would overwhelm him. He once again reaches out to Mr. Greco to show him an innovative way to easily collect this data. Welcome to data collection for power projects.
Good day all. I'm an engineer student. I'm in Renewable Academy. I will be presenting on the topic data collection for our project. Today, the topic of our presentation will be going along these 5 outlines: introduction to data collection and analysis, discussion on the sources of power generation around in this country, Nigeria. We will go ahead to talk about the data collection methodology that can be deployed. Next is going to be the tools and support process for collecting data in power projects. And finally, we will be taking a brief case study using Microsoft Suite and Kobo collection as a data collection tool. Here we are not going to be dealing with it that much. We are only going to have a little mention of some of those tools that could be used during data collection exercise. Let's start with our introduction to data collection analysis. Let's begin. What exactly is data? In our presentation here, we're saying data is an individual unit of information. For example, if I say 5 megawatts of solar plant in Arbor, Delta State, I am saying that 5 megawatts is the data is telling you the capacity of that particular plant. It's a unit of information. Once you tell somebody 5 megawatts of a solar plant, you already know how large or how small the plant we are talking about is. So that is data on its own. Then when we come down to data collection, here we are saying is the process of gathering and measuring information on targeted variables in an established system, which can enable one to answer relevant questions and evaluate outcomes. For example, if we say, as an analyst, a field enumerator, go into this community and get us customer tariff agreement for a mini grid site in 20 states of the Federation. It is left for you as an enumerator to design how you want to gather this data, how you want to get these customers together, how you want to get this information from them, so that at the end of the day, the developer or the operator will be able to extract his or her information from the data you have collected from field. Be it mini grid, be it conventional power plant, be it transmission line, all this, there are sets of data that can be extracted or gotten for each of these established systems. With this data you collected, users can now be able to answer questions, be able to evaluate your outcome and use it in making decisions. But before making decisions, there is another point which we need to get here, and that is data analysis, which we have defined here as a detailed examination of the elements or structure of something. When we talk about data analysis, that's outcome. Let's take, for example, your collection of data from the tariff agreement we just spoke about in 20 states. At the end, you can say, okay, we've interviewed 500 customers in total, out of which 50% of them have agreed to pay above 140 naira per kilowatt hour. This same data analysis, after doing it, can say after 50% have agreed to pay above 140, 20% have said they wanted the light for free, and then 20% have agreed to pay below 140. So this means you analyze the data you collected from this site. You analyze it using different tools, be it pie chart, be it histogram, be it bar chart or statistical analysis. You analyze the data you have collected, and then you come into a particular conclusion about it. So that is when we talk about analysis. Looking at the picture by right here, you see somebody who is trying to, an analyst trying to use information on the system to analyze data collected. Next, we can also say data analysis is the process of, we can alternatively define data analysis as a process of inspecting, cleaning, transforming and modeling of data with the goal of discovering useful information and supporting decision. That's why we say the end point of any data analysis effort is to support decision making. That is just it, nothing else. Users can now take their decision based on your data, based on your collection, and based on your analysis. Whether your recommendation is being used or not is out of point. It's not what we are doing. But for the users to be able to make decisions based on what you have analyzed. Let's have a look at this picture here. We can see how a lot of workers and a lot of people are working. Those working on the construction site trying to lift up the concrete or whatever you want to call it, and those that are building, those that are collecting the data, we can see those that are collecting data from source, we can see those that analyze, those who will analyze the data, and those that will come, whether using a pie chart or a bar chart or a histogram, you analyze the data of what is going on the construction site, and then come to conclusion to support your decision of what you want to do with them. Next, we are going to be talking about the types of data. We have two types of data, namely structured data and unstructured data. When we talk about structured data, we are talking of data that we collated in terms of rows and columns using maybe MS Word, MS Excel, Renewable, or using Microsoft Access. Those that have rows and columns, the information that we build in, they are structured data. When we talk about unstructured data, we're talking of data such as like text, pictures, videos. These are unstructured data. So when we are talking about types of data, we should have it at the back of our mind that there are two types. We have the structured data and the unstructured data. And we have here given examples of what they have. So next is, let's talk about sources of data. When we talk about sources of data, we also have two main sources of data. Is either our source of data is primary source or secondary source. If we are talking about primary source, let's take it as an original source that documents an event in time, a person or an idea. Yes, that's an original source that documents an event in time. E.g., raw data, letters, original research, computer projects, photographs, etc. That original raw data is what we are after as far as we are concerned. Then a second main source of data is the secondary data, which we can say is anything that describes or interprets or evaluates information from the primary source, e.g., newspaper reports that extract information from policy documents. When we talk about research in the past, for example, when we are talking about something that happened in the 1950s, you and I may not have lived in the 1950s, but we have information, we have a source of primary data that we can extract and say, this is what actually happened in 1956. This falls under source of secondary source of data. We cannot directly access it ourselves, but we can get information from the primary source. For example, textbooks, journals on power projects, histories. It is possible you say, oh, in a community, you during your research, you go into a community and then there is no power line, no source of electricity generation. But based on your historical information, the community people now say, see, we used light for 6 months in this community using generator in year 2018 for 6 months. How? I can't see any, you as an analyst, but there is no distributional, there is no source of any power plant here. You say yes. An NGO brought in a generator into this community, a 50 kVA generator into the community to power everybody in the community for 6 months. But after the research, they took it away. That is a source of a secondary source of information. You only heard it, you didn't see it. It is written down by the community somewhere. You have used your primary source of information to form your own secondary source of information. So now, if somebody is to go into that community and say, oh, I want to build a solar plant, we want to give them light, permanent light, you already have an information from them that somebody brought in a 50 kVA generator into this community, which powers the whole community. So from there, you can come up with your conclusion about the new technology or about what you want to now give to this community. We are going to be discussing why do we need to collect data. Why we need to collect data? We need to collect data in order to either optimize power generation or planning. We need to collect data for building necessary models of power system. We can also say we need to collect data for useful design and specification. Data that we collect, whether before a power project is being created in a community, the data is going to help the developer or the operator to build whatever they want to, a system into that community. And we talk this information can also help in design and specifying equipment based on data that has been collected initially. So, collecting data for power projects is very, very important. It is a key thing that cannot be ignored. So, when somebody is talking about design and specification for a new build in a rural community, you should first of all have it in mind that you must collect data as related to that community before you even think of even building that plan. It is very, very important. So, from here we'll be talking about the types of data collection. which may be grouped into four types, as we have listed here. It can be an observational one. It can be data that you are collecting through experiments. It can be data that you are getting from simulation. Or finally, it can be a derived data collection method. Which when we talk, let's take for example the observational. This is what you observed. You may go into a community, there is no power, then you will see a power distribution line. You've already observed that yes, there is a power distribution line in this community. You've seen it with your eyes, even though they don't have power. You have observed it. Nobody will talk, people in the community will not talk about it. But from you have observed, you can also go into that community and then, let's say for example, you observe that almost everybody is always getting agreed about anything from government. You have observed. That means by the time you're coming into the community, you've already know the kind of customers that are. When I went into this community, I observed that almost everybody is getting happy at anything that comes from government. The reason you don't know is one of the observations. So by the time you are really going into that community to carry out whatever, you need to work around that particular observation. Next is experimental. You need to some of these data that you need to collect, you need to be experimental. You need to pilot them before you really build the main thing. So that experiment we are talking about is very important. You need to carry out. The next is simulation. You use computer to simulate a particular design or derived. Derived is combination of any of this, whether you are simulating or experimenting and observation, you are deriving of. So you need to really go into details of this in our later discussion. Now, when we are talking about power project plans, before we get into this data collection, what are even the source of power generation available to us? One, let's try to segment it into renewable energy and non-renewable. When we talk about non-renewable energy, we're talking about the conventional source. And these renewable energy sources are like when we're talking about wind turbine or windmill, when we're talking about solar PV or solar thermal, hydro, small hydro or light hydro, when we're talking about biomass, whether biogas, or we're talking about biogasification, or we're talking about geothermal or tidal or whatever renewable energy source. These are sources of generation that we can carry out data on, or when we are talking about energy source in terms of the thermal, carbon based, which is one of those presently Nigeria generates most of its power plants. So when we're talking about oil and petroleum, or we're talking about gas, natural gas, coal or nuclear, these are the non-renewable energy. So when we're talking about getting data collection, we're talking about data collection from power generation. For power plants, we need to put our mind around this, that this is what we are going to be working on. This is where we are going to be focusing, either or hybrid of any of this. It's possible you have an hybrid of solar thermal, or you have an hybrid of solar gas, or you have an hybrid of hydro, coal, or biomass, nuclear, mixed. It is possible they are mixed, and it's possible they are in a separate node. Next slide is showing all the different sources of renewable energy, be it solar PV, be it thermal, be it geothermal, be it wind turbine, or the CSP. CSP, we're talking about the concentrated solar power plant. This is just a picture. These are energy sources that are continuously replenished by the natural processes. That's why they are called renewable energy sources. The next slide is showing us a power plant, a refinery, generators. These are most of the world's energy sources are derived from this conventional source. It's just a reason that renewable is now taking some good number of percentage from the non-conventional sources such as the coal, the natural gas. These fuels are often non-renewable because they don't replenish the way the natural ones, the renewable energy replenish. So when next you see pictures like this, you already have it at the back of your mind that these are likely power sources from conventional sources.
Hello, I'm Felix from the Greco Academy. For years, I had carried out field surveys through the traditional method of using paper and pen to fill out questionnaires. This was tedious and time-consuming because I had to go back to upload data I collected. With technology, collecting data has been easier, as I now get data in real time simply by using my phone or tablet. Gathering information on variables of interest is essential for you and your organization to answer research questions and evaluate outcomes. With Koba Toolbox, all you need is your phone. For a fee of 25,000 Naira, Greco Academy would be conducting classes on data collection for solar projects. To be a part of this training, register at edu.grecopower.com.ng.
Next, we are going to be now talking on the methodologies. First, we need to have the goal. What exactly are we trying to achieve? What information are we requiring from this data collection exercise? It is only then that we can now come to data analysis. You've already known your data, you've already known your method of collection, and then what analysis do you think will be applying on these data that we have collected? What methods will be followed? And that's why we're saying we have 4 different stages. First, you need to come up with your questionnaire. You need to come up with a collation of your questionnaires, and then somebody will need to validate those questionnaires that yes, they are actually valid for what we want to carry out. That's the first. Now, after it has been validated, it goes to data entry. The analyst who goes on field will now have to enter data. How do you now enter your data? Is it manually or digitally, or is it both a hybrid of manual and digital, or it's you just have to enter this data into whether in a paper form or a computer or an Android form. That's which method you want to use in entering this data that you are just collecting on the field. The third is going to be data validation. After getting this data, entering this data, it will have to be validated that yes, you have followed the right processes to get this data. You have followed the right methodology to get this data. And then that is when we talk about data validation and cleaning. And the last on the list of our data collection methodology is data analysis and reporting, which we have discussed initially. How you need to analyze the data that you have collected, analyze it using online platform, system, computer, different tools, and then after analyzing it, you need to report to those who sent you out in the initial stage. Who gave you this project as a consultant? Who gave you this project? Who wants to use this project to build a particular site? That's when you now talk about reporting. And then we've gone ahead to come up with this picture where you have before existing data workflow and on-site data collection workflow after, where you collect data manually, you organize it manually, then you input this data from the manual paperwork into the digital computer, you build it either online or you build it offline, and then you send it into the system analyst, who will now analyze this data using computer and come up with information that is going to be used in decision making. It is after that all the data, the photo, the pictures, the information that you viewed it online, you transfer them for review and complete data either digitally or for digital usage. Next on our slide, the tools and survey process for collecting data in. The tools are as follows: maybe community area survey. We use area survey using GIS, using Google Map to get information about a particular location where a power plant is to be sited. Or when we talk about field site monographs, which you can get from reports, from community documents, get primary source. Then, as we've said before, observation, what you have observed. Another system, another tool is interview. You interview people, you interview stakeholders, you interview community people, you interview youth, you interview women, you interview old men, young guys. You get information from them on what is already existing. Next is when we talk about structured schedule, questionnaire, where you come up with a questionnaire and you share the questionnaire, you allow people to fill in the questionnaire, let them give you feedback. Where they cannot fill the questionnaires, you have a dedicated analyst or field enumerator who gets information from their mouth as a primary source and then fill it into the particular questionnaire. We also have another tool which you can use is case study. Try to find out what case study are on ground as related to that particular community or that particular power project that we are about to. Is there any issue about it? Is there any case study that we can have to make informed choice on that particular project? Lastly is going to be historical approach. What historical information are available to us as a tool? Probably government has a lot of projects there initially and it has been taken away, or what history is there. You need to 20 kilowatts of solar system have been deployed into this community some 15 years ago, but it was 10 kilowatts that we came to realize that we are having a problem with the system. But probably based on historical approach, like the people there need a lot of power, and then this system is not sustaining them, and then we have to take it, and we only have capacity for 10 kilowatt system as at that period. And then now we have to now redeploy the whole system into another community, a smaller community. That means you have an historical approach and historical information about that particular plan. So when you are not coming up with a new plan, you already have information that 10 kilowatts has already been deployed here, which is not selling there. So that alone is going to help you in your research work. Because if we are building here, that means we need to carry out our research and we need to know that 10 kilowatts is not going to be enough for this community. Now let's go into the survey process. Before you go into the survey, you need to first, as a team, plan your activities. Probably the main stakeholders. You plan the activities either to get this project. After planning the activities, you need to come up. Next is team composition. you need to come up with your team. What is this team going to? What is the composition of this team going to be? What kind of expert do we need for this particular project? Do we need an electrical engineer in this data collection system? Do we need a solar engineer? Do we need a wind turbine engineer? Do we need system analyst? Do we need a computer guru in this team? Do we need a community engagement person in this team? You need to sit down and know what the team needs to be composed of. After that, the next is for you to design your questionnaire. What question do we need to ask? What question do we need to look for? What question do we need to sort out from the stakeholder? Which one do we need to find out from the general public? Please. After having the questionnaire designed and validated, next we need also to plan for the logistic provision, so that we'll have a seamless process while we are carrying out this assignment. Next, the fifth of the process is the enumeration, training, and motivation. Yes, the lead will have to train the field enumerators. Probably they are not part of the team within the company. You are only deploying them for the field side. You need to train them. You need to motivate them. You need to tell them why this project, why this assignment is very important, why they need to take it serious, what they need to do in order for you not to lose money doing unnecessary field assignment exercises. So you need to train your field enumerators. You need to motivate them. You need to tell them what they need to do. They need good training. Last on the list is to survey visit. You need to visit this community. You need to carry out a survey visit to know that, okay, this is exactly what we should be looking at. This is the kind of information we should be looking for in this community. This is how the community roots are. The community don't have a good road. We need a helix to go into this community to carry out this assignment. Oh, we need a cow or a horse to carry us into this community because of their road network. Oh, during this pre-survey information, we came to realize that there is no network in the community. So we can't have access to internet. We can't have access to phone call. So what alternative do we, based on this survey visit, what information have we gathered during this visit, that when we are going into the exercise proper, we need to have, these guys don't have network, they don't have anything, they don't have Glo, they don't have 9 mobile, they don't have Airtel, they don't have any of the network. So what alternative is open to us that we are going to be exploring during the real visit? These are the kind of information that you are going to be able to gather during the pre-survey visit. Last on our presentation is using a big case of Microsoft Suite and Kobo Collect as a Power Data tool. Yes, things are changing from the normal ways of just writing in a paper, doing field enumeration, and then along the way the paper gets missing and all that. No, things are changing. Let's take, for example, Kobo Collect. This Kobo Collect we are talking about is a collection of web-based and mobile apps that allows for the authoring of complex collection of data using mobile device, analysis of data and storage of data either online and offline. That both. Somebody will sit down in the office, design this form while you are on site, even when there is no network. You can use your Kobo Collect Android phone to get this information, fill it in offline, And then by the time you complete your assignment and you're going, once you get to a place where there is network, it automatically transmits this information back to the office. So even in a situation where you've already sent in this information to the office, the collection tool, maybe the phone on the Android get missing, the information is already in the office. So Kobo Collect is such an important collection tool, which is used to design your form for an online, using an online form builder. It is also used to collect information using an Android phone off-site or on-site. Yes, while you're on site, you use your Android phone to get this information. And then finally, it can be used to analyze and map your data faster. This mobile data collection tool that we're talking about, Kobo Collect, needs to be explored further. When we talk about exploring, because it's paperless, it's efficient, it is secure and reliable. It is what's being used for collection of data. So I will explore that you go online, search for mobile data collection, Kobo set up, how to set it up in your Android and on your system, and then try to play around with it. Go online, you see a lot of manuals, a lot of procedural documents that can be used to carry out this important assignment. So the question now is, why do we collect? Why using Kobo Collect for power project? It's more faster. It is much more accurate for us to use. It is based on open data too. You can easily, when you say something is open, it's open to everyone. And it is fully supported and free. Like one can go online and get it and use it to carry out his or our project. It's very fast, it's good to explore. And then, lastly, we also have our Microsoft suite, be it Excel, be it Word, be it PowerPoint, be it Access. All these can be used as a tool. As we can see from the picture here, even the Office 365 has a lot of tools that can be deployed. You can use most of the inbuilt facilities to come up with your forms, come up with your database storage systems, and what have you. All these are very, very important. So, what you need to do, as I have said initially, we're not going to dwell so much on these tools. We are talking about Kobo Collect and the use of Microsoft Office, because they are a course on its own which can be explored over there. So, like I said initially, the Kobo Collect is a course alone in Greco, how to use it, how to use it in exploring data collection as a tool. So if you are interested in exploring more about Kobo Collect for Power Projects, please get across to us if you have any question at Greco Academy, Block 1, Drive 5, Second Gate, Prince and Princess Estate, Abuja, Kara District, Abuja, Federal Capital Territory. You can also get to us through our email info@grecopower.com or telephone number 0809290207682. Thank you for your attention. We look forward to having you.